Most people think the new year really begins when the clock strikes midnight on January 1st. They believe change starts with a date, a resolution, or flipping a page on the calendar. But in the quantum world, timelines aren't tied to dates. They follow identity. That means your 2026 is already forming inside you, long before 2025 even ends. Your next reality doesn't start with a year. It starts with the frequency you carry into it. There's a quiet window, a pre-shift window, where your future timeline becomes highly sensitive to your inner state. You don't notice it with your mind. You feel it in subtle shifts in your energy. You feel it when old desires no longer fit, when life nudges you inward, not because something is wrong, but because your field is preparing for a higher configuration. You feel it when the universe itself becomes quieter, more precise, more intentional, almost as if reality is holding its breath. This window is here right now, before 2025 ends, and how you navigate it determines whether 2026 brings your biggest quantum shift or just another repetition of old patterns. Quantum physics mirrors this. Before a system settles into stability, it passes through a phase of heightened sensitivity called pre-coherence. Tiny changes in the field can completely alter the outcome. Emotional energy works the same way. When you're on the edge of a new identity, even the smallest shifts in your emotional baseline ripple through your timeline with amplified force. You don't become your future self on January 1st. You become them in the quiet transitions that lead up to it. Neuroscience supports this too. Your brain doesn't wait for a new year to start predicting your next chapter. It shapes it based on the emotional patterns you're living in right now. If your baseline is rooted in 2025, its fears, limitations, survival habits, then 2026 will naturally echo the same internal landscape. It's not about weakness or lack of motivation. Your nervous system just knows how to survive 2025. It hasn't yet learned how to embody 2026. That's why so many people step into a new year expecting transformation, but nothing changes. They carry the past forward without realizing it. They enter January with the same emotional coding and end up recreating the same outcomes. But you're not here for repetition. 2026 isn't just another chapter. It's a quantum turning point. Some years vibrate at a different frequency. They act like portals where timelines open more easily, identities dissolve faster, and the space between thought and manifestation becomes thinner. These years feel different even before they begin, like pressure building quietly inside your awareness, like a subtle invitation from the universe. Like the version of you that's been waiting behind your ribs is finally ready to step forward. 2026 is one of those years. Not because of astrology, numerology, or any collective hype, but because your personal field is ready. Your identity is already reaching for a new frequency. You've been shedding layers, questioning old narratives, releasing mental noise, and sensing that a larger version of yourself is preparing to emerge. What you're feeling isn't random. It isn't coincidence. It's coherence forming. The quantum responds to coherence before it responds to willpower, and your coherence is rising. Here's what most people miss. Timelines don't wait for January. They lock in early. Who you are in these final weeks of the year determines what 2026 can become. If you enter it carrying the emotional residue of your past, the year will bend around that residue. If you enter with presence, clarity, and openness, the year will bend around that instead. The universe isn't choosing your timeline. Your frequency is. Your 2026 reality is already shaping in the background. Your choices, your state, your emotional tone in these last weeks of 2025 will decide whether you step into a timeline of expansion or stay tangled in old patterns. The quantum field doesn't reward effort. It mirrors identity. And right now, identity is more flexible than usual. This window won't last. You're standing at a threshold where the past is loosening its hold and the future is leaning toward you. Crossing it requires one thing, an internal shift that must happen before the year ends. This is what will make 2026 the biggest quantum shift of your life. As you move closer to the new year, a mechanism inside you becomes more active than usual. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your system is trying to protect you. Your body naturally attempts to carry the emotional tone of the previous year forward. Familiarity feels safe, even if it's exhausting. This is the identity drag, the subtle gravitational pull of who you've been, trying to keep you from becoming who you're meant to be. It doesn't show up as dramatic self-sabotage or overt fear, but it's quietly there, shaping your inner world. It doesn't show up as something dramatic. It shows up as hesitation, as overthinking, as emotional heaviness, as that quiet pull toward familiar patterns simply because your nervous system hasn't learned how to feel safe inside the identity you're growing into. Your mind may be excited for 2026, but your body remembers 2025, and it will recreate it unless you consciously interrupt the cycle. Neuroscience calls this predictive coding. Your brain uses emotional history to forecast what your future should feel like. It assumes tomorrow should resemble yesterday because that's how it maintains stability. If the emotional imprint of 2025 is still active, your breathing, your stress responses, your habits, the beliefs you default to, your brain automatically builds a life that mirrors those signals. Even intuition gets filtered through the older version of you. That's why people enter a new year saying, "This time everything will change," yet end up repeating the same patterns by February. They bring the same frequency into the new year. They try to change behavior without changing identity. They try to manifest the new while still vibrating like the old. Quantum physics reflects this perfectly. Old frequencies collapse into old outcomes. New frequencies collapse into new timelines. You can't activate a new reality while embodying the emotional tone of the previous version of yourself. The field doesn't respond to goals. It responds to resonance. Identity drag happens because the identity you've been living in tries to protect its structure. Even outdated versions of you have survival wiring. Your system believes that if it keeps your emotional range similar to last year's, it's keeping you safe. You may consciously want expansion, love, opportunity, abundance, awakening. But if your nervous system learned safety through contraction or scarcity, it will unconsciously rebuild those states. This is why 2026 can't become your breakthrough year unless you break the emotional momentum of 2025. You can't step into a new timeline while carrying the vibration of an old one. You can't expect a quantum shift while repeating the same reflexes, the same rhythms, the same inner stories. Nothing outside changes until the identity inside shifts. Identity is always the first point of transformation. And here's the encouraging part. Identity drag isn't a blockage. It's a sign that you're close to the threshold. The tension you feel isn't failure. It's the friction between the self you're leaving behind and the self you're becoming. That friction is the birthplace of quantum jumps. It's proof that your system is reorganizing, that the old frequency is destabilizing, and the new one is gaining strength. You can recognize identity drag by the way it feels. Wanting change but feeling inexplicably tired. Sensing potential but slipping back into old habits. Seeing a new future but staying emotionally anchored to the past. Receiving intuitive nudges but delaying action. Knowing what you need to do yet hesitating to embody it. Feeling the pull of expansion but sliding back into comfort. None of this is weakness. It's biology. Your old identity is making a final attempt to keep you in territory it understands. Once you step into your 2026 frequency, that identity dissolves, and no part of your psyche wants to disappear quietly. The moment you interrupt identity drag, your energy snaps back into alignment. Your field clears, your timeline speeds up, and the emotional signatures that used to recreate your reality lose their power. So let's lock in that interrupt point. Declare it to your system. I won't carry 2025 into 2026. This isn't a slogan, it's an instruction, a signal to your field that the old emotional architecture is no longer running the show. Because once identity drag breaks, the doorway to your biggest quantum shift swings open, and 2026 begins responding instantly. There is one shift, one internal adjustment that decides whether 2026 becomes the year you break through or the year you repeat. It's not a ritual, not a technique, not a goal. It's a biological, emotional, and energetic switch that changes the way your field interacts with reality. When this switch activates, the universe doesn't take its time. It reorganizes immediately. This is the quantum trigger. The moment you stop relating to your future through desire and start relating to it through identity. Before 2025 ends, this trigger needs to come online. Because once the year turns, the emotional patterns you carry into 2026 will crystallize into your timeline. In the quantum world, timelines don't form around intentions. They crystallize around emotional baselines. The emotional state you carry on December 31st becomes the seed frequency from which 2026 grows. If that seed is coherent, the year expands. If it's conflicted, the year contracts. The quantum trigger is the shift from wanting your future to broadcasting it as already real. Most people get stuck in wanting, even when they think they're manifesting. Wanting is a frequency of absence. It broadcasts lack. It tells the field, I am not yet the version of myself who has this. And the quantum responds by reflecting that gap back. That's why some desires feel further away the more you focus on them, because thinking from lack only stretches the distance. The trigger happens the moment you stop projecting your future outward and start holding it inward as an embodied state. This shift is subtle but seismic. It changes your posture, your breath, your emotional tone, your decision-making, your field coherence. You're no longer chasing your future, you're broadcasting it. And the universe can't resist a stable signal. To understand this, you need to grasp coherence. In physics, coherence means all parts of a system vibrate in synchrony without interference. A coherent system is powerful, stable, and influential. When your identity becomes coherent, when your thoughts, emotions, and body align with the version of you who already lives your 2026 reality, the field recognizes it instantly. Timelines collapse around your signal without hesitation. The quantum trigger is coherence replacing contradiction. You've felt glimpses of it before. Those rare moments when overthinking fades and you feel anchored in who you're becoming. Moments where the future doesn't feel like a distant dream, but like a memory you haven't lived yet. When your breath drops, your chest softens, your awareness widens, and an inner yes rises quietly, yet more authoritative than any thought. That moment is your true state. Everything else is conditioning. Neuroscience explains that stepping into identity-level coherence shifts the brain from prediction to presence. You stop forecasting danger. You stop replaying the past. You stop rehearsing patterns that contradict your expansion. Instead, your brain generates signals that match your future identity, as if it already exists. Because the nervous system doesn't distinguish between imagined and embodied states, your body begins broadcasting that identity into the field. This is where manifestation accelerates. The universe doesn't respond to imagination, it responds to embodiment. The trigger occurs when your body accepts the future as its new normal. And this is exactly why this shift must happen before 2025 ends. The longer your system stays aligned with your old identity, the more your 2026 timeline will be shaped by it. A new year doesn't automatically reset your vibration. Your body carries emotional memories forward unless you consciously rewrite them. So how do you trigger the quantum shift? Stop asking, "What do I want in 2026?" and start asking, "Who am I in 2026? How does that version of me feel right now?" That single pivot dissolves lack, waiting, old attachments, and identity drag. You start breathing as your 2026 self, observing, deciding, holding boundaries, and resting as that version. You stop negotiating with the identity you've outgrown. You stop giving energy to timelines that no longer belong to you. The quantum trigger is the moment you switch from rehearsing the past to transmitting the future. Embodiment doesn't require intensity, hype, or high emotion. It requires clarity, neutrality, presence. The calmer you are, the faster the trigger activates. The quieter your signal, the more coherent it becomes. The less you try to control your timeline, the more your timeline reorganizes. You'll know the quantum trigger has activated when the future feels closer than your memories. Fear loses its charge. Doubt feels irrelevant. Your decisions become clean and simple. You begin expecting expansion rather than hoping for it. When this shift locks in, 2026 isn't just another year. It's the year your life rewrites itself from the inside out. You're not preparing for 2026. You are becoming the version of you that 2026 already aligns with. Quietly, unexpectedly, the future stops feeling distant and starts feeling like it has already chosen you, not because of visualization or forcing belief, but because something inside reorganizes. Your emotional gravity shifts. Your field stabilizes. Your body stops bracing. Suddenly, the version of you who belongs to 2026 doesn't feel like a possibility. It feels like presence. This is crossing the 2026 reality line, the invisible boundary between who you were and who you're becoming. It isn't about time or effort. It's about embodiment. The moment you emotionally step into the identity that resonates with your 2026 timeline, the quantum field begins rearranging around you at a speed that feels impossible. But it's not impossible. It's coherent. Coherence always feels miraculous to parts of you used to living in resistance. Crossing this line isn't about waiting for the year to begin. It's about becoming the person who can hold the year you've been asking for. Those who don't understand this enter 2026 carrying the emotional residue of 2025 and wonder why nothing changes. They repeat cycles because their body still broadcasts the same signature. Goals, plans, and habits orbit the same vibrational center. But you, the one listening, feeling something awaken, you aren't here to repeat. You're here to upgrade your baseline, collapse timelines, and step into the version the universe has been preparing to meet. Your 2026 reality already exists in the quantum, fully structured, waiting for the matching identity. The more you embody that identity now, before the year turns, the faster your timeline accelerates in January. Reality doesn't wait for the future. It responds to the frequency you hold today. This is why some people experience sudden breakthroughs early in the year. They entered with coherence. Their field matched the upgrade. The universe didn't need time. It needed alignment. Once alignment is present, timelines collapse. Reality moves. So what does it mean to embody your 2026 self now? It means shifting from survival to presence, releasing emotional narratives from years you've outgrown, relaxing defenses that once kept you safe, but now keep you small, letting go of the identity built from fear rather than possibility, transmitting your future instead of chasing it. When you embody the you who belongs to 2026, you stop waiting for signs. You are the sign. You stop waiting for the right moment. You become the moment. You stop seeking permission from the past and start receiving guidance from your future. Your inner world becomes your calendar, your frequency, your clock, your identity, your timeline. And once this embodiment stabilizes, life begins responding intelligently. Opportunities appear with uncanny timing. Obstacles dissolve before they form. People aligned with your next level enter your field effortlessly. Old patterns fall away naturally. Synchronicities cluster like coordinates along your path. This isn't luck. It's coherence made visible. Your role isn't to force your 2026 reality into existence. It's to become the version of you who naturally lives inside it. When that identity feels more emotionally real than your past, the quantum field has no choice but to reorganize. Reality bends, timelines shift, life elevates. This is when your journey moves from concept to embodiment. To deepen this shift, stabilize your new identity, and dissolve the interference of your old timeline. What you need isn't more information. It's energetic architecture. A blueprint for embodiment. A way to hold the frequency of your next level without collapsing back into old patterns. Everything needed to close this year with clarity and step into 2026 as your most aligned self is inside the Quantum Rebirth Transformation Guide. This ebook is designed to help you release what no longer serves, reset your frequency, and activate the identity waiting to emerge. If this video stirred something in you, the guide is your next step. The link is in the pinned comment. If your energy feels open, follow it. This is the doorway. 2026 is ready for you to walk through.